Hello, I am Kelly Simone, Principal of Upper Darby High School, with an update on our instructional plan for the 2020-2021 academic school year. I would like to begin by reviewing some assumptions as it pertains to the flexible high school schedule. The student body will be separated into 3 cohorts that will cycle in AM and PM sessions through Upper Darby High School for face-to-face class time. Cohorts will be approximately 1,200 or more students. Students in special programs such as our life skills and supplemental autistic support will maintain their current scheduling format and not be in a cohort. The students in this program will report to school on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, with Wednesday being an all-virtual day of instruction. During face-to-face sessions, each classroom will have an average class size ranging from 9 to 14 in-person students to ensure that CDC guidelines on social distancing are maintained. Additionally, there will be live streaming in our classrooms or from our classrooms, and students will be participating in synchronous instruction as well. There's a 41-minute transition time between cohorts in the middle of the day. Breakfast and lunch will be available as grab and go. Lunch will not be scheduled in the student day. There are no full or half-day in-service days. All professional development will take place during the PM session of the weekly distance learning day. Time during the school week when students are not physically in school will be a distance learning or synchronous learning time, and attendance will be taken. Students are able to register for 8 courses a school year, 4 per semester. Courses are leveled as outlined in the course selection guide. I've included a link to our most updated course selection guide. It is also posted on our school page. Cohorts cannot be changed. All staff will have a prep and a lunch period as 2 of the 8 periods in a day. Thermometer checks will occur when students enter the building at the beginning of their face-to-face session. Nurses will perform thermometer checks. Students can participate in clubs and sports pending CDC guidelines. 3 cohorts of students were created to maintain capacity compliance according to the CDC regulations. There were 2 guiding factors when developing the cohorts. One was maintaining the strength and community of diversity, and the second was keeping the focus of the number of courses we run from year to year and semester to semester. The flexible option includes the delivery of courses in the current master schedule. On the right-hand side of the slide is the breakdown of our current district by location. On the left-hand side of the slide is a layout of the cohorts on top of the current locations, designating the area where students would come from for each cohort. This has been reviewed by our transportation department and our district manager of data and operations. The teacher will be responsible for class size of 25 to 30 students. However, the cohorts will allow for only 9 to 14 students on average to be face-to-face for a course at one time. The class size depends on the square footage of the individual classrooms and may vary. The cohort design allows us to provide a flexible schedule for the upcoming school year that would include virtual instruction as the main platform for learning. However, in addition to the virtual learning, face-to-face sessions have been infused on a rotating basis. During the face-to-face sessions, teachers will provide differentiation and individualized instruction and assessment opportunities. Students will be able to ask questions based on the information provided in the virtual setting. There will be an all-day virtual opportunity during the rotation. Students will participate in synchronous instruction on days without face-to-face sessions, either with the AM or PM cohort, since the teacher will streamline the class through a virtual platform. This would also be the case for students who opt for the virtual-only learning. Wednesday will be an asynchronous day of instruction. At that time, students will complete their work online while teachers provide office hours and participate in professional development opportunities. Upper Darby High School will use a flipped classroom model. Students will be responsible for navigating content and instruction provided by the instructor in an asynchronous manner via videos, short clips, and other posted material through our Schoology platform. Additional information may also be provided since now the learning sessions will be streamlined and synchronous opportunities will be available. The flipped classroom is a blended learning model in which traditional ideas about classroom activities and homeroom are reversed or flipped. In this model, instructors have students interact with new material for homework first. Then they use class time to discuss the new information and put those ideas into practice. We have provided a video link, as you can see here, through our Schoology.com. Please take a look for additional information and the explanation of the flipped classroom model. The bell schedule will be as follows. The regular start and end time of 7:30 a.m. and 2:41 p.m. will not change. There will be an a.m. and a p.m. session each day. There will be 2 different cohorts in the building each day. There is a 41-minute transition time built in between the a.m. cohort and the p.m. cohort to allow students to appropriately exit and enter the building, maintaining social distancing guidelines. The instructor will teach the same courses during the a.m. and p.m. session, but to 2 different cohorts of students. During this time, staff and their students will wipe down and sanitize the instructional space in between cohorts and classes, and deep cleaning will occur every night. As you can see, there's extra time built into the first period of the a.m. and p.m. session to allow for homeroom type information to be shared and food distribution. In the flexible option, there is an A, B, and C day rotation with a full distance learning day on Wednesday every week. For example, if you are cohort 1 or a student in cohort 1, on A day, you would come in the a.m. session and then continue distance learning at home for the remainder of A day. On B day, you would participate in distance learning in the a.m. and come to the building for the p.m. session. And on C day, you would not report to the high school at all, and C day would be an all-day distance learning day for your cohort. However, at this time, because there is live streaming and synchronous opportunities, on C day, it will be mandatory for students to participate in either the a.m. or p.m. synchronous learning session. This will be true for students who opt for the virtual model as well. This would be the same for each cohort, 1 day in the a.m., 1 day in the p.m., and 1 day distance learning, with synchronous instruction as mandatory in either the a.m. or p.m. session. And that rotation would repeat throughout the course of the semester, having every Wednesday as a full distance learning day for all cohorts. As stated before, that would be a day for staff to provide office hours for students, planning and preparation, and professional development opportunities. This would be an asynchronous day of learning for students. There will be an all virtual learning option, as I have stated previously. Students who opt for all virtual learning will participate in synchronous instruction. Students must participate in synchronous instruction daily except Wednesday. Wednesday remains an asynchronous instructional day. There will be no synchronous instruction on that day. We received questions about what it would look like for our career and technical education students or our CTE students. Here's an example with a CTE student in cohort 1. On A day, the student would attend their CTE program in the a.m., while the student's peers attended the face-to-face session at the high school. On B day, the CTE student would attend their CTE program in the a.m., while the student's peers in cohort 1 are distance learning and would attend face-to-face learning at the high school in the p.m. with their peers in cohort 1. On C day, the student attends the CTE program in the a.m., while the student's peers are distance learning and participate in distance learning in the p.m. So essentially, the student will participate in the CTE program daily and access one less face-to-face session at the high school. This would be the same pattern for CTE students participating in the PM program, but a different schedule. The following is an example of what the instructional framework would look like for a student in cohort 1 in either a flexible or virtual learning option. On A day, the student in the flexible model would participate in the face-to-face building session in the a.m. and asynchronous instruction in the PM. The student participating in the virtual model would participate in the synchronous session in the AM and the asynchronous instruction in the PM. On B Day, the student in the flexible model would participate in asynchronous instruction in the AM and the face-to-face building session in the PM. The student participating in the virtual model would participate in the synchronous session in the PM and the asynchronous session in the AM. On C Day, the students in both flexible and virtual model would participate in synchronous instruction for periods 1 to 4, either in the AM or PM session, and the remainder of the day would be asynchronous instruction. The next two slides are examples of what the instructional framework would look like for students in cohorts 2 and cohorts 3. Staff will take attendance during the face-to-face and synchronous sessions per standard practice. Since all students participate in asynchronous instruction on Wednesdays, students will indicate their attendance via Schoology. During the weeks of instruction that are impacted by holidays or professional development days, to ensure face-to-face instruction time is maximized, the cohorts scheduled for the affected day during the week will have their brick-and-mortar learning day moved to Wednesday. The affected weeks are listed and are the weeks of August 31st, September 7th, November 2nd, November 23rd, December 21st, January 18th, February 15th, and May 31st. We have received several comments and suggestions, and I would like to address the following. As you are aware, we are not removing leveling from the proposed schedule. The proposed schedule will include leveled courses as outlined in our course selection guide. As I stated before, there is a link provided to the most updated course selection guide, and it is also posted on our school page. We will have daily thermometer checks on buses and before entering the building. There will be multiple entry points, and our nurses will be at each entry point. If a student presents with a heightened condition, we have a plan to address the medical concern. Masks will be mandatory for bus travel and strongly encouraged for our students in the building, especially in transition and hallway time. We are close to meeting the 6 feet recommended distancing at the secondary level. So when students are in the classrooms, 6 feet of distancing will be provided. The full-day distance learning option provides an opportunity for students to meet with the staff on a consulting basis for additional support. It provides time for planning and preparation that will benefit and support the new distance learning model and professional development time for staff to assist with ongoing best practices and optimal learning opportunities for our students. The cohorts have been reviewed and approved by the Transportation Department as well as Central Administration. The cohorts are designed to balance the number of students from district neighborhoods. The cohorts must be followed to ensure the schedule meets regulation and CDC guidelines while providing optimal learning opportunities. All staff will have a prep and a lunch period built into their school day. We will have athletics and clubs running after school as long as we maintain social distancing and adhere to CDC guidelines. We recently posted our health plan and procedures for voluntary athletic and band workouts that began July 1st and will go through August 9th, at which time we will follow the revised PIAA regulations for in-season participation. Thank you, and if there's any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to the high school staff and we will assist you. Thank you.